trying to avoid this 2-mile walk.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I'm trying to avoid it.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right. You know, I feed off of you all's energy, and I try to bring my own as well. I'm excited this morning to have one of Coppin's own, Mr. Devin Walker. We're going to screen show his documentary Trauma. And before we do that, I'm going to give you first an opportunity to introduce yourselves. Because remember, even though we're here to take care of business, which is the business of learning, it's always important to remember that everything is relational. Everything is relational. We build on relationships, we plant seeds, and they grow. Based on relationships is how I met Mr. Walker, because we had like-minded people in education who connected us. And, you know, they said there was a African-American young brother who was doing a lot of great things in the community in terms of filmmaking, and he needed someone that could support a project that was very important that he was working on. And so as a result, you know, I had an opportunity to sit down with him and to share about violence and trauma, my insights. And somehow during the conversation, Mr. Walker said to me, he said, Dr. Rice, you know I graduated from Coppin, right? And boy, my smile like a Cheshire cat. You know, I said, what? I said, man, you know, I said, on the strength of our mutual connections, I was just going to help you anyway, any way I could, because as a young man, there were people who helped me with things I was trying to do. But it was value added when I heard that he was the CSU alum. So I said to him, again, planting those seeds, I said, listen, we doing this, but you know, when I get an opportunity, I'm going to have to bring you back. You know, and so I wanted to stay true to that word, but I also look forward to seeing other great things that he's going to be doing. He's working on some projects now, and of course, we have to always figure out a way to make sure that we can continue to partner and collaborate. So I'm going to start with Mr. Davis, and each of you can you know, let them know, you know, what program you're in, MS program, and where you work at if you want, and your focus right now. Start, Mr. Davis, and work over here.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, guest speaker. My name is Mr. Davis, Tyrese Hakeem Davis. 36 years old, grad student here for my Master's of Criminal Justice. I'm in my second year. I'm a Head Start teacher at St. Vincent de Paul during the day. I also do photography and videography myself. And I'm here for a number of reasons. Law school, I hope to teach at Coppin one day. Maybe I can come back and chair as well. And that's about it.
All right, thank you. And let me just say, you know, if you ever interview Mr. Davis, he has a lot of quotables. You know, he gives, as we have deep discussions about criminal justice in African American society, he makes a lot of profound statements that I like to write down that kind of resonate.
Yeah.
You know, so he's a critical thinker, and he always kind of looks at things, I think, from a very unique and broad lens. You know, but he can take something that doesn't seem inspiring and make it inspiring.
Thank you.
Ms. Brink.
Hi, I'm Janice Brinkley. I'm from West Baltimore. I'm an undergraduate here at Coppin, but I'm also getting my master's degree as well. I currently do on security for the FDA, but I'm about to do internship for the Baltimore Police Department's Forensics Department. So I'm here to get my master's degree and then hopefully go to law school. I'm not decided yet. And that's it.
Ms. Brinkley, no nonsense focused. I've had her in the past. Enjoyed having her in my class. She's a determined person. She goes after the things she wants to pursue. She shared some good news with us in class today in terms of opportunity, and we just very, very proud of her and happy for her. And so, you know, she demonstrates that work ethic and that focus and determination that we want our students to have. Ms. Hall.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tamara Hall. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been living in Baltimore, Maryland for almost 20 years now. I've raised my son here, so I became familiar with the city of Baltimore, the good things about Baltimore, some of the challenging things about Baltimore.
Right.
And living here is really similar to Philadelphia in a lot of ways to me. I currently work for the Division of Parole and Probation. I'm a senior probation agent in Baltimore County, Maryland. Well, really, they call it a central region, which is Baltimore Metro region. So kind of overlap with Baltimore County and Baltimore City. A lot of the challenges that you see in Baltimore City have kind of spilled over to the county and vice versa.
Right.
So I'm currently in the master's program here at Coppin State University, working on my master's in criminal justice administration and leadership. I have a really big interest in mental health and how it plays a part in people entering into the criminal justice system, how the criminal justice system responds to people with mental health challenges. My interest sparked in that because my caseload at the Division of Parole and Probation is specialized caseload that deals with people that are either diagnosed with mental health conditions or are ordered to submit to an evaluation to see if they do have a diagnosis.
Wow.
So it's good to be here this morning. I'm very happy to and also very interested in what your presentation should be a part of, and also just how I can learn from my colleagues, my fellow students, my instructors, my professors, things that I can use to give to the people that I supervise in order to make them become, kind of cut down on recidivism, to give them some ideas as to how they can become more productive and law-abiding citizens and be, kind of help Baltimore overcome the challenges.
Sounds good.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Ms. Hall is, she is an excellent student. Someone that I hope thinks about even beyond her master's degree. She has the depth and ability to teach, to educate. She brings a wealth of experience that I think can be flipped back to the classroom, and a lot of students can learn from her wisdom and experience. And she's always been supportive of our department. And so, it's a joy to have her in the class. And next we have Mr. Lionel Williams. Mr. Williams.
How you doing? My name is Lionel Williams. I'm a first semester graduate student. I'm coming from Prince George's Blue. So I'm still in Maryland, but I would say that for me, while I'm here today, just to expand my knowledge. I came from Coppin as an undergrad, and I just became more passionate about this field as time went on. More importantly, for like African American males, I think due to like family reasons, it really like touched me, and I think I wanted to like help those who couldn't get help or even like try to change the system. But as time went on, I was allowed and given opportunities to elevate in that field and elevate in those regions. And even wanted to, now it touched me to go wanting to teach and teach others how to help either young African American males or just in the criminal justice system to change it in the best ways possible.
Yeah, and Mr. Williams, has I've taught him as an undergraduate, highly intelligent student, someone who has really modeled the kind of qualities that we want other young men on campus to be able to emulate.
Right, yeah.
We work together on a project that I'm carrying out right now. It's a gun violence research project, and we're interviewing 150 black males between the ages of 15 to 24, get a better understanding of why they may have possessed firearms and what factors influence that. And so we kind of just got out the gate. Right now we're working to connect with other partners. We completed our first 15 interviews with Roca Baltimore, and we're trying to, by the end of July, be close to achieving that 150. And so Lionel plays a part of that. He and other students on the research team interview in the community individual young men who fit that, black males who fit that description, so that they can, one, have a voice, and two, we're open-minded, so we're gonna see where that knowledge takes us. Thank you. You introduce yourself, Gil. Yep.
I'm Gilbert McCoy, senior. This is my last semester here at Coppin State University. I'm also officer at Maritime Police.
Cool. Okay, so at this juncture, I'm going to give Mr. Walker an opportunity to share a little bit about himself with you all. And I only have to go into my whole Hollywood story, because that'd be, you know, Dr. Rice can talk. So I'm going to save you all from that today. You laughing kind of hard there, Mr. Hall. I'm going to save you all from that today, and I'm going to pass the baton to our guest, Mr. Walker. Can we clap it up for him, please? CSU family right here.
I appreciate that. I'm Devin from West Baltimore as well. I graduated from Coppin in May of 2012. I was also in the criminal justice program. I'm currently in my last semester for my master's degree at Morgan in journalism. I am a filmmaker, I'm an author, podcast host, and I'm currently in the process of starting a radio station. And I'm from West Baltimore. I said that already. So actually, what got me into filmmaking though, because originally my plan was to go to law school, like many of you said. I did not do well on the outset, but it was my fault because I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. I actually thought that I could just walk in and take this 3-hour test without any preparation at all, and I would be fine. And I found out that I was wrong. But I got into filmmaking actually right after the uprising in 2015. So during that time when the youth were throwing rocks and batteries at the police, myself and a few of my friends were trying to actually separate them. We were walking to Pennsylvania North Avenue and just getting in between the police and the people that were pretty much attacking them. We were bringing them back to the Cloverdale basketball court where we had a PA system set up, we had food, and we were just allowing everybody to vent, but giving them a safe space to do it. CNN showed up, they weren't invited, but they came anyway, and other news outlets came. And after maybe a week or so, when things started to calm down, there was another incident somewhere else in another city, and on CNN they were comparing that to Baltimore. And I kind of took it personally because I felt like they were constantly showing negative images of the city, and I believe that if you're constantly seeing negative images over and over, at some point you're gonna internalize it, and that's all you're gonna think of, and that's all you're gonna become. So I created a project that was called Baltimore Love, in which I just went around interviewing business owners, activists, just people involved in the community, and I wanted to package this and just show a more positive light of the city. And through that, I just continued to want to show and highlight and educate and uplift as many people as possible. This project is about dealing with trauma. If you grow up in an urban environment, a lot of times you suffer from trauma without even knowing it. Even if you haven't been personally become a victim yourself, just a lot of times seeing these things over and over. If you're on Instagram and you're following the Murder Inc. page, you're seeing homicides daily. If you watch the news, you're going to see things that will have an impact on you. And so that's this project is about. I completed it in a small community in East Baltimore, and I'm ready to get started whenever you are.
All right. And so I'm getting ready to show this documentary. 2 points I want to make real quick. Mr. McCoy, who's our law enforcement officer, he is someone who represents the best of what we hope officers, particularly our officers of color, should be in terms of being firm and fair, providing accountability for the community, but also having compassion, also being able to be relatable and understanding that there has to be that
there has to be that balance. You want to introduce yourself?
Oh.
Yep, and tell what you do. And let me just say this: we got 2 authors here, but I'm gonna leave that alone for now. Go ahead.
I'm Erica Dyer. This is my third semester in grad school. I'm getting my master's in Human Service Administration and Criminal Justice. Right now, I'm an assistant director for St. Vincent de Paul Rapid Rehousing Program, and I'm an urban fiction author.
Okay, all right. So we have a lot of talented people here, along with yourself, Mr. Walker. We're doing some great things, looking to continue to advance in their education to do even more. And at this time, I have the pleasure to starting and showing the documentary.
Devin Walker is a neighborhood in Baltimore. Population is approximately 2,300 people. The area was once considered middle class, however, in the last century, it's experienced economic depression, housing abandonment, and increased crime. The residents are largely poor and working class African Americans. The median home value is $105,000. 65% of the residents are renters, and the median income is $28,000.
There are many people that used to be in the neighborhood, but just not here. I mean, it's like now you walk around, it seems like it's slowly or surely becoming more and more a feeling of a ghost town. You know, a lot of there used to be a very family-oriented type of neighborhood. Everybody was a close-knit community. And it felt like a family environment. All the neighbors knew each other, looked out for each other's kids and each other, see something wrong going on or didn't look right, or seemed suspicious, police would get called really quick. Now that you have a lot of that older generation that's dying off, unfortunately, we don't really see that because the generation that's coming up behind us, it's different. We used to hear that a lot from our family and how when we coming over the individual, a lot of us as younger, we didn't really quite understood that. We had a supermarket, we had a flower shop.
Can you all hear it, or you need me to turn it up? Yep. You just note you might hear a little bass, so don't be nervous.
Martin Luther King got killed. They couldn't understand the concept. You burning yourself out. Some people not gonna allow you to come out there back then in Townsend or places like that, because that's where they put most of their police and stuff at to keep you from coming out there. So you go through here and set up your own race, and after that, no more supermarket, no more Five and Dime, no more movie. Just in this block alone, right down at the bottom of this block, there's a vacant store that's been vacant for years. They used to be a penny candy store. They also sell penny cookies. Literally, penny cookies and penny candy. I mean, that was the thing. All this stuff was going on. See, when I grew up and came up around here before I went to service, everybody knew everybody. Most of the men was down Bethlehem Steel Company, so that was the thing. So all the kids knew each other, all the families knew each other, so it was a thing of respect. You might be surprised, the very porch you sitting on, we used to put Telvin right there in the summertime and watch the wrestling that used to come on from DC. Can't put them out there now.
Since the death of Freddie Gray in 2015, 2,290 people have been killed in Baltimore City. 200 of those murders occurred in the Milton Alfred community. Men, women, and children have all become victims. 3-year-old Aubrey Faulkner was this year's youngest victim, and 62-year-olds Isaac Caldwell and Grace Jackson were this year's oldest victims. Out of the 200 victims killed in this community, 174 were between the ages of 18 and 50 years old. 9 were under 18 years old, and 17 were over 50 years old.
I was sitting right here, and the young man was sitting right over there. I said, excuse me, can I help you? No, man, I'm not good. I said, you're not good. I said, because I got eyes. And you pushing something in that drain. It was a bag of drugs. So when I told him you can't put it in there, he tells me, you don't know the street, and you're not that bad. I said, I didn't say I was bad. I just said, you can't put your drugs in there. lucky enough, some of the kids that grew up around here came up the street and seen me. And they asked me what was going on. I told them, and they told me, man, don't mess with me, man. Man, don't mess with nobody, you know.
Academics argue that the change that is so desired must start within the neighborhood.
We clearly need to have opportunities and pathways for change, for people who want to change, right? But I also believe that there are individuals in the community who have drawn a line in the sand and said that I understand that there may be a pathway to change, but I choose criminal enterprise. And when I say criminal enterprise, I don't mean spontaneous violence, even though that is unacceptable as well. But I'm saying there are people in the community who are saying, I make money off of bringing guns into the community. I make money off of selling drugs in the community. I know law enforcement is watching me. I know the community members are watching me. And even with all of that, I still plan to push the line on what I want to do, right? Because I like it. The community has to make a decision as to what will be our role in addressing those individuals.
If I see a guy take 5 handguns and put in the trunk of his car and he drunk, and I call up and I tell him, and I say, keep far across the street. The police had a custom of coming to your house, talk to you, and then go lock this person up. So what does that mean?
I think part of it is the community associations and law enforcement collaboratively working together in a way that doesn't make community members vulnerable who want to address the issue. But I think it also means a trusted long-term commitment from the state's attorney's office, through victim services, which is happening, through public safety and law enforcement. And I say community oriented because it has to be where there's trust there. So if I share with this law enforcement partner that someone in the community saw the murder, we can't have the community hearing that 3 days later that person's house gets shot up. And the rumor is that information was leaked inadvertently by someone in the law enforcement, on the law enforcement side.
The term collective trauma calls attention to the psychological reaction to a traumatic event that affects the entire society. Collective trauma does not only represent a historical fact or event, but a collective memory of an awful event that happened to a group of people. Symptoms of collective trauma include rage, depression, denial, and survivor's guilt.
Well, I do think that living in particular environments, you're traumatized, right? Traumatized by the environment, different things that may happen. We are sometimes people that we are primitive, are coming from disassembled communities sometimes. And so that creates trauma. We see individuals coming in, dealing with the trauma of losing someone due to homicide, in addition to past and other current trauma. So we're seeing individuals coming with layers of trauma. It's almost like peeling an onion back. You start to deal with the homicide, and in the homicide, other traumas really start to come up.
The thing that troubled me the worst is the deaths. Being in the military, you expect it. Guys in Vietnam experiencing, guys over in Afghanistan, and you know, all the places over there, they experiencing. But here, when I grew up in these same neighborhoods, we didn't have a killing or shooting or something. That was, you know, something.
These kids these days are being exposed to so much, man, that is mentally scarring them for the rest of their lives. You know, can you imagine you just sitting there holding a regular conversation? You ain't even 15 yet. Somebody just come right out the blue and blow your friend's brains out right in front of you. You know, stuff is real, you know, stuff you're seeing on TV, you know, stuff is being played out in real life. Being played out in real life right before a whole lot of people's eyes, bro.
What for me is weird, like going to school with some people, like seeing them every day in school, and then one day they're just like gone, and you just know that they're not coming back to school, and it's not because they dropped out, it's because they gone, they're not coming back nowhere, and it's just weird, it's just a really weird feeling, and feeling it. I wish on nobody, but that's how it is. Yeah.
I feel the violence works because I see it. When I talk to people every day when they get out, they terrified.
And see, they don't do something pretty soon. A lot of it's gonna be vacant because a lot of people can't afford to move out the neighborhood. You know, so they kind of stuck. You know, shooting going around in the area. You don't want to do kids up in that area, but hey, you can't go nowhere.
From this block, I've been living around this block my whole life. My brother died in this block. I mean, I was young. I was like 9 years old. My little ass was sneaking in the swimming pool late night. And I walked up the street, somebody tried to hold me back. I knew what was happening. And I ran in there, and I ran up there, and I seen my oldest brother in the alley. And I was like 10, so I seen violence my whole life.
Yeah, police was chasing these guys in the car, and these guys, they was hauling. I mean, just speeding through like they was on an open highway. And they ran smack dead into a friend of mine while she was in her in her driver's seat, parked, ran right into her, killed her. She's a very young lady in the neighborhood, grew up. My sister, everybody in the neighborhood pretty much knew who she was. She was very outgoing, loving, her name's Chris.
I'm not doing the killing. Well, look, when you don't do nothing at all about it, you part of the problem. So again, tell the first responders to clean the fucking blood up, man. Clean the blood up, least they can do. And you wonder why the children are becoming desensitized. Kids got to walk past and see this blood on their way to school and can't even stay focused in school. Because they got to see this blood. Because the first responders have become desensitized.
The phone rung. So as I opened the door, I grabbed the phone and I'm like, hello? And I heard screaming in the background. It was my middle son telling me to get back to the playground. Darius had just got shot. My heart dropped, everything dropped. Got my husband, got my son, got my nephew, put them in a van. We got back to the playground. When I got to the playground, like it was crowded. Like I couldn't even get to my son. Police and everything was there. They stopped me, asked me who I was, so forth. I told them I'm just trying to get to my son. So my sister and my husband had to, explain to them, who I was and what I was. So by the time I got over to him, they were already putting him in the ambulance because I knew, because I'm a nurse. By the time I seen him, I knew he was already gone because there was no motion. They put him in the ambulance. They were working on him. I actually got back in the van with my sister and the kids. We beat the ambulance actually to the hospital. So by the time we were getting out, they were actually pulling up. They were still working on him. They took him. I ended up going straight, in through the shock trauma emergency part with them, and they took me upstairs. The police came. They took me in a little room, started asking me all types of questions and so forth. They were working on my son. The doctors came down, explained to us, the injuries of, where he got shot at was, real severe. They don't know if he was gonna make it or not. They told me he had died 3 times before they got him into the hospital. By the time they got him into surgery, he was already gone. So they had, brought him back, into the room. So, I could say my final goodbyes and so forth. That was the worst feeling ever. Like, I don't wish that on nobody, but that took a toll out of me because it took a while for me to actually get myself together to realize that I wasn't gonna have my son back, but dealing with being a mother of 2 other kids and also my stepdaughter, but I can call her my stepdaughter, my daughter. I had to realize I was gonna have to be strong, but I dealt with it with my husband.
my sister, then had to start therapy, and it was a lot. Dealing with being a mother, losing a child, my firstborn, so young, but I dealt with it. I've been dealing with it for so long. It's kind of hard. Like,
He crying because he knew that little young brother. You see what you doing with these brothers, man? You breaking real men hearts. Cause you sick and you need some help. And we got to continue to love you in spite of. But look at those young brothers, he on his way to school, bruh. Look at his blood, man. This little young brother was a good little young brother, man.
We don't have nobody, most men, we don't have nobody to talk to, stuff like that. That's why so much we quick to fight. Because this thing we've been doing is inside, and we fouled up.
Man, I wish I had the magic answer, but it's gonna take the parents, the school teachers, and Justice Department. They locked the guy up. Oh, this guy, they go back, look at his record. He had 2 prior gun charges. He had assault charge. He had a burglary charge. And each of them charges, he didn't spend no more 1 or 2 years. So, hey, I could do that, you know. But if they start taking some of these youngins to doing these violent crimes, and like the feds they should be here too, a mandatory 5 years on a gun. So if you get locked up, and you get convicted, you automatically got that 5 years to what the judge, put on you. But there's a joke here. He's getting guys around talking, man, I beat that man. That wasn't now, They made it too easy for him.
The only answer to this madness that's going on not only in Baltimore but all over the world is God. That's not how strong we feel about that. Some people who tend to speak about God in front of other people, they think it's not the modern day way of thinking, like it's played out. You feel like you're trying to be a dinosaur, So it's like the generations coming up behind us want to throw the old school values out the door in the trash, and that's where the mistake, I strongly feel, that's where the mistake comes from. Throw the old school values, morals, and stuff out the door. The kids can't help but to grow up out of order. And so therefore we're having reflection in the neighborhood.
On July 23rd, Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott announced a plan to reduce violent crime by 15% for the next 5 years. However, on November 28, 2021, there was a second mass shooting in the community, during which 7 people, including a 16-year-old, were shot. Several attempts have been made to contact District 13 Councilman Antonio Glover, phone, email, social media, and even DCPD Comstat. All attempts were unsuccessful. This may explains why the community has little faith in their political leaders.
I guess if you want to look at it from a political position, it's somewhat of a political viewpoint. Yes.
The government doesn't help. The government doesn't help at all. They say, as long as we got them in this so-called ghetto, just like the Nazis did during World War II, had Jewish people in the ghetto where we can contain them and control them, And if they kill each other, it's not a big thing.
And these city councilors, these mayors, they not doing their job. They ain't talking to the people. They chasing a paycheck.
Man, I hope I said something that you need or could help somebody. I appreciate the effort, because you go down City Hall sometime, they won't let you talk.
According to theory, there are no safe, poor neighborhoods. The Milton and Martha community proves this theory. The community has an abundance of vacant houses, vacant lots, liquor stores, and fast food carryouts. In comparison to Brewers Hill, Hamden, Homeland, and other affluent communities throughout Baltimore City, the disadvantages are immeasurable. Despite the problems within the community, many of the residents have not given up hope. They are standing their ground and remaining optimistic about the future of their neighborhood.
Yeah, I feel safe, but that's me. I grew up in the city.
You know, the violence is not so bad in, let's say, this particular 1800 or 1700 part.
You know, when you live in the city, long enough, you just learn how to, learn how to move. And so move accordingly. You know, linger around too much.
You know, because we still have a lot of neighbors that still just, want things peaceful and will report if they see anybody that look suspicious and out of hand.
If you have an enlarged prostate, do this 15-second Japanese ritual before bed to shrink it almost immediately.
I'm gonna give a second here. Turn on the lights just for some reflective comments and thoughts, but I do wanna ask you, Mr. Walker, what was the motivation for the documentary?
I didn't know the base was going to be like that.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry.
But now the motivation was, I was just looking at the numbers, right? So 350 plus homicides every year, at least for the past 7 years. And I wanted to just focus on, I actually wanted to focus on the trauma. Not so much the homicides, but the aftermath. And so I wanted to talk to people who live in these areas where there's a lot of violence, to just get their take on things. And so I chose that community because they have a lot of violence. Like it's probably about 4 or 5 mass shootings so far, but so I chose that particular community. But I really just wanted to focus on the trauma and just try to highlight that, people are traumatized. Like, you may not know it, but you're going through things, So there's a reason why I wanted to do this particular project.
So, some initial impressions. Start right here.
I was amazed. You kind of answered my first question was, why did you choose to do this area? You said the numbers. Like, but are you going to do other areas in Baltimore City besides the Milton area? Like, are you going to come over East Baltimore? Are you going to do more documentaries?
I mean, I'm currently doing more documentaries. I'm working on a project now that is not my project, but I'm doing the production for it, and it's about parents who've lost a child to street violence. And so right now there's about 10 moms and 1 dad in the project, and they're just talking about the effects of their sons, because it's mainly sons that were killed, but I'm working on that project now. But other than that, I mean, I'm open to work on anything that I think it will be beneficial to whoever the viewers are. So.
Was it hard to get the community to engage in this documentary?
Not really. I thought there would be more resistance, but it wasn't.
Good quality, great sound, in the industry of videography, that's important, especially when you're doing a documentary, so I want to give you compliments on that. And I thought it was interesting that in Baltimore City, just like in Philadelphia, that's where I'm from as well, you get a number of people who are reluctant to comment to the police. But when you have young men such as yourself that go out there with the camera, you kind of get those experiences and those stories that people are, scared to come out and say publicly. Yeah. And watching your documentary, I asked myself, wow, why is that in our community? We feel more comfortable with, talking to each other and sharing them stories and trying to, bring change. Because even at the end, they was just saying, I hope it helps somebody and things of that nature. But when it comes to actual crime, we don't have that same sentiment. When it comes to fixing our community, we don't have that same sentiment. So that was just my take on what I got from it. So that's something to think about.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Anyone else? Any impressions? Anything you saw in there that you felt resonated with
I
you.
enjoyed the documentary. I actually related to the mother who lost her child at the playground. My brother was recently a victim of violence in the streets of Baltimore, West Baltimore, actually. And it kind of like almost made me teary-eyed because as a mother, I couldn't fathom losing my son in the streets. I mean, it was not surprising because it happens every day, but I really felt for that mother because it reminded me of my mother when she lost my little brother in the streets of Baltimore. And it's like, it happens every day and there's nothing to be done. Uncle T, he's a known speaker on Instagram and stuff, and he speaks about that every day. The first responders are desensitized when it comes down to the crime scene. They don't want to clean the blood up. The children see this every day walking to and from school, so it's like, as a black community, we are traumatized by that. And it just brought tears to my eyes for real, seeing a little boy being comforted by another adult in the community. So I really enjoyed the documentary.
Thank you.
Any comments from over here?
Sure. First I want to say it was an excellent documentary. A lot of the people that were featured in the documentary I was pretty familiar with. I was able to kind of put two and two together because when I walked in the classroom this morning and I saw you, I said, this gentleman looks really familiar, and now I was able to realize that I follow you on Instagram. And that's, I mean, I know you personally, but I follow you on Instagram, so I was able to make that connection there. I was really surprised to see that the councilman for the area didn't respond back to your inquiries. Antonio Glover, he seems to be pretty visible in the community from my being in that area. And I was just surprised to hear that. I did see that you had listed Zeke Cohen as one of the contributors to the documentary in the credits, so I know that he's really a very active councilman, and I think that's District 1, I believe, that he covers down there. What I took away from it mainly is that saying where they say hurt people, and that's what it seems like to me is happening within these communities because people are not addressing their trauma. One of the young brothers that spoke in your documentary said that it's just that this idea of collective trauma, no one knows how to really address it. And with it not being addressed, it's just leading to more and more violence. So I would ask you, what would be some of the suggestions that you would give to us as people working in the criminal justice field in our daily activities, how we can, help with this ongoing issue within the communities?
So I honestly think that the problems in the city has to be addressed on multiple levels. I think there is a criminal justice aspect to it, and I think, we definitely need that. But then you need mental health awareness, you need mentors even, because the way I see it is this. We live in these communities where half the blocks are vacant, there's no grocery stores, there's fast food chicken spots on every corner, and there's liquor stores on every corner. Now, if I'm a kid and I'm growing up in this environment, and every day I just see vacant lots with grass grown as tall as me, liquor stores, trash everywhere. So at some point, I'm gonna feel just like this community where I'm from, right? But if you bring a project into the community that says, well, we're gonna mentor the kids, that can help, but the parents need mentorship as well because they live with the parent. So I think it's something that has to be addressed on multiple levels. I think Antonio Glover and I, we have a better relationship now. I reached out to him and we spoke about a project that may be far-fetched, but I'm hoping can bring some help to the community. I pitched him an idea about training community members to renovate the vacant houses and having it incentive-based to where, we're gonna teach you the trades, we're gonna teach you all these skills, you go here, you learn, so then you're getting job skills, so you're starting to feel better about yourself, you have an actual job, and then you have the potential of buying this house or one of these houses that you've been working on. Now you have to, there were some things that I put in there that said, well, you gotta stay in the city for 5 or 10 years, just so the city can get the money back. But if I'm rebuilding my community, I'm less likely to tear it down or allow somebody else to tear it down. So I think all of these things are needed. We need to provide jobs and skills so that you can go out and provide for your family. We need to provide counseling, even if you don't think that you need it or know that you need it. And then you still have to have a strong criminal justice aspect as well. So to me, it's something that has to be attacked on multiple levels. And until we do it that way, we're going to continue to have the same problems.
I wanted to ask you, what was the older gentleman's name in the video? And he made a statement about the repeat offenders.
Oh, that was Mr. Charles.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Mr. Charles.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other comments?
I would say it's good documentary. Thought I was watching like the HBO documentary. It's good. I think that the trauma is definitely evident, and you can see it in a lot of people, that you presented. And I think that more programs like we need more documentary, bringing a shine light on the situation could help definitely lead to programs to try to help resolve some of this hurt that's in this communities that's suffering. So I think it's a good job.
I saw that you had the director of, or CEO from Roberta's House, and I noticed Roberta's House on North Avenue. I just saw that it's like been totally like remodeled, it's beautiful. And would you say that just being able to speak with her and have her featured in your film, would you say that the work that they're doing in Roberta's House is definitely beneficial for the community? And do you see a center like that needing to maybe expand in other parts of the city to have an impact on the trauma?
Well, I think it is helpful, but I guess it depends on who's receiving the help. Because if you're a mom or a dad, you're getting help with grief, but you're probably not going to go out and shoot anybody. So I think that the program needs to be just broadened so that more people can get more support. And I don't know if they do it for, if they offer their services outside of homicides, because, you can get shot and live and still be traumatized, but I think that the program should be opened up just a little more to include, provide services for more members. I think that would be helpful.
Mr. Walker, how and this kind of, I think Mr. Davis kind of touched on this. I think we all have some creative aspect in us, right? I hope one day to make some docs with people, and it gives, to me, it seems like it gives a voice. Documentaries and film can inspire. What would you say to us students here in terms of how to use our influence and amplify our voice using the media, using these tools? Because you've been able to do it, right? You said you started some other initiatives and radio and other things. Is it just a passion for radio, or what would you say to us? What if we all have something burning, or most of us have a fire in us to try to get our voice heard in a way that's meaningful and impactful? What would you say to us? And just knowing some of us may have more technological skills than us.
Well, I think, so one thing, I think if that's something that you want to do, I think you should just do it. Just get started doing it, try it, or whatever it is. When I first started doing documentaries, I was horrible at it. I was shooting interviews and forgetting to turn the mic on. So I have video and no sound while I'm shooting the interview, and I don't have the camera level, so I got somebody's shoulders down. But you get better with time. So whatever it is that you want to do, I think you should just go ahead and do it. Just get started doing it, and then learn and get better over time. And then the other thing, what really drives me is that when I was younger in my 20s, I was angry a lot, right? And the problem was that I wanted more, but I didn't know how to get there, and I didn't know what to do. So I was frustrated because I didn't like the lifestyle that I was presented. And so as I was able to learn and grow on my own, and starting seeing that, okay, there's more to life than hanging on whatever neighborhood or whatever it is, right? Once I started to realize that for myself, I wanted to bring that back to other people. I wanted to teach to all of my friends, like, yeah, okay, this is cool. You can hang out in this bar on this corner, but you can also travel the world. You can also do this. You can also do that. You can read. You can get degrees. You can. So I wanted to just constantly highlight that. I constantly want to just encourage people to grow and just become better and learn and just develop new skills every day.
I got a little pressure question for you. Netflix want to buy your documentary. Give you like $500,000, $1 million to shoot 1 or 2 more. Are you staying in the community or are you moving? What you doing?
More than likely, I'm gonna stay in the community. I'm in the community now.
Right.
More than likely, I'm staying in the community.
It would be pointless to move out.
You can move to Owens Mills and drive back in the city and film it.
Be careful, be careful, be careful. You got to watch out now. You got 2 people in here.
I'll make another statement about the documentary. What I really liked about it is that you presented the information in a way that wasn't sensationalized. Like, it made, to me, when you see stories that are presented about what's going on in the community on like a station like Fox 45, it's presented in a way that makes you want to be like, oh, Baltimore's horrible. I'm getting away from that city. I don't want to be near those people. But the way that you presented the information is you presented the data, the numbers, the things that's going on, the violence. But it was presented in a way that made me, and I would think other people would feel like, you know what, I want to go talk to Uncle T, or I want to go in that community and I want to see how I can help and try to, help these children, help the youngsters, help, the shooters, the people that's out there, just help. And that was one of the things I took away from it, whereas that I wasn't, the data presented made me realize that, okay, this is an issue. I mean, it was, you said 350 plus homicides in the last 7 years in Baltimore City. Like, this is a serious issue. But it didn't make me feel like I wanted to retreat. It made me feel like I wanted to engage.
Right, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Walker, you want to tell the class a little bit about your publishing?
Well, book?
Yep.
So, my book is it's titled "In Case I Never Get to Tell You," and in case I never get to tell you. So it was actually written to my sons, right? And it's just about self-accountability. It's about overcoming obstacles, and it's about just living by our principles versus living by feelings. Actually, I have some books with me. But yeah, I wrote the book in, I think, 2018, 2019. Yeah, check them out. Okay. So you just put it up on Amazon?
It came out on my birthday. Best book ever. That's
So say you said just even just can you just unpack the title a little bit for me, because again it's kind of profound in me, in case I never get to tell you.
So, okay, I have 3 sons, 2 stepdaughters, right? My oldest son just turned 18 February 5th. And we have some of the best conversations after one of them gets in trouble. So when they do something wrong, we sit down and we have a real good talk. And I usually ask them after the talk, like, well, did you get it? Did you understand where I'm coming from? Yeah, I do. Well, okay, well, what did you understand? And they really understand. So they'll tell me what I explained to them and why I get it. And what I realize is that they're not going to always get in trouble. So some of these conversations that I would like to have with them or probably had with them, I wanted to package it and put it in a book for not just my kids, but somebody else's kids, my friends' kids, or whoever. I think these things apply to adults as well. So I just wanted to put everything in the book. You know, there's a lot of things, a lot of knowledge that I've gained over the years. I wanted to write it as simple as possible and just make it available to whoever would be interested.
Well, let me just say this, right? And some may say that Dr. Rice is now an old head, you know. But I have several books in me that I plan to write, and I have maybe 2 or 3 documentaries that I hope to shoot one day, right? Or even, you know, collaborate. And you've already moved forward in that space, and you know, this inspires me. Right, because you're right in terms of sometimes you just have to do it. You have to do those things that, you know, important to you, and that you have to kind of find the time to make the dream happen, right? And what's interesting to me is that, at least the perspective I feel is that you're just getting started on your journey, you know. And I think you got you got a lot of great things to look forward to. And what's great to me is that you're a part of the Coppin community. You know, so you're a reflection of one of the solution points, right? In terms of, because, you know, we in class, we have some real critical discussions about how to solve some of these problems that's happening in the community, right? And what can we do with our influence and social capital that we have to affect change as parents, as community members, as people who love Baltimore, right? As people who love people, all people, but particularly people of color who've been through the struggle, right? And so what you're doing, you know, is putting an intricate light on an issue that we continue to try to figure out how to solve, you know, and that's to be commended. You know, I would say to you to continue in your journey. Always keep Coppin in mind. Know that you have a family here, you know, that's going to be supportive of you. And, you know, you also, through your work, there's others who watch, who follow you on social media that, you know, you inspire them indirectly and directly, right, through what you do. And the impact of children and sons. I have a daughter and a son. And my son's, you know, he's a young adult. My daughter's wrapping up another year in high school. But, you know, I often wonder about the world that they will be in, you know, once they're on their own. And we all still have time to make a difference, to make it a little bit better for them, you know, in the midst of social unrest, in the midst of COVID. You know, it's a very different world. And then you lump crime and violence that's been systemic in the pot with that. It can really be overbearing, you know. So it's a breath of fresh air when you see that there's still people who are going to members of the community and giving them a voice on these issues. And as we saw, even they have some good solutions, you know, and information. But we also saw the impact that trauma can have at the loss of life. And so again, I'm just going to say, Mr. Walker, I'm appreciative that you came today, that you shared. You gave us looks like the hooked up multiple. They confused. They're like, oh, we got free. But we appreciate you, man, and we hope that this isn't the only time you come to visit us, but that you are willing to come and share as you do your documentary projects. And, you know, even if you want to, you know, say, hey, let me do a test before I need a group of people I want to just get some impressions from. You know, you can come here to us, and we'll definitely give you that feedback.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Can we clap it up one more time for Mr. Walker? Well, thank you, Mr. Walker. Appreciate it.
Oh, man, thank you.
Yes, indeed. All right, so I'll just say to you all, first of all, I want to thank you for coming out in a horrible day. Right? Horrible day. But learning never stops. It never stops. The other good news, in case you all may not have paid attention, Coppin won. They're going to the MEAC. They're playing in the MEAC championship today, I believe at 1 o'clock, ESPN2. And in the spirit, let's clap it up. And in the spirit of documentary filmmaking, that's ESPN supposed to have a film on Coppin. I think it's called Coppin Poppin', right? It's going to look at Fang Mitchell and the upset we had of University of South Carolina many years ago, which is so interesting because the timing of that, and then if indeed we can upset today, it's gonna, it's gonna amplify. And so some exciting stuff, I believe again at 1 o'clock on ESPN2. So we've had a very exciting week thus far. We had Katie Ray Jones, President CEO of the National Domestic Violence Hotline, gave a keynote, it was great. We have Mr. Devin Walker here today showing his documentary. And next week, myself, Dr. Berlin, Dr. Anderson, and 2 of our graduate students will be in Las Vegas for the Academy of Criminal Justice Sciences annual conference, where we will be presenting, talking about policing, qualitative research, and a couple other topics. And then we come back here and we have a series of events. One of the events will be a book reading, which will be myself. I showed you all some glimpse of the book, Why Black People Should Train Police. So it'll be myself, Dr. Rodentrader, doing some readings from that. Dr. Berlin, Dr. Das will be talking about a book that they edited and also did some interviews in. And Dr. Brothers Gray will also be talking about her book and untested forensic rape kits. And so we got a couple of things, and then at the end of the month, we will also have our career week where we have different employers come in and present on their agency. As you all know, the issue of diversity and equity across local and national law enforcement organizations, civil jobs, as well as jobs as officers, they're looking for people of color. They're looking to diversify. So a lot of recruiters have reached out to Coppin, and I'll try to get that information out to you all as best as I can. I know you all are working on wrapping up the exams. I saw a couple coming in. That's great. I look forward to us having a robust criminal justice month and wrapping this month up in a tight way. I appreciate you all's flexibility, your attentiveness, and your commitment to learning, and we'll continue to build from there. So I want to thank you. Have a great remainder of your day. Thank you for walking.
All right, thank you.
The 20th to the 27th.
Of next month or this month?
This month.
Next
Is that for high school
Are we
too, or
in
just
class
college?
next Saturday?
Not this
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
Unless,
Oh, so we got
You gonna be in Vegas, right? You gonna be in Vegas?
This time we on?
This Saturday.
You gonna be in Vegas?
This
Oh,
Saturday,
that's
I'm
right.
not gonna be there.
Oh, that don't mean you still in
unless
class.
you want to do something virtually,
No, we're good.
you want to do something virtually.
Unless you want to take the class to Vegas.
Yeah, I got the cameras.
This is the creativity I was talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
Spirit got a flight for 45 hours right there.
This is the creativity I was
Yeah,
talking
thank you.
about.
I'm gonna read it with my son. He's sick. I'm reading with him.
All right, appreciate it. No problem.
And I followed you on Instagram.
We did. Follow you back.
Oh, wait, what's your Instagram?
Yeah, what is it?
He's in a book. That's Devin Walker.
Devin Walker Senior. It's live or video?
Video.
Bring it out.
Yep, I'm with you. Look, hopefully I did.